Hi, my name is Tom and I work at South Slough National Estuarine Research Reserve, and today I'm going to show you how to use a Brock scope, which is a nice little field scope that we use in our programs here at South Slough. So the kit, it looks like this, and we start out, I've got some artifacts here, a snake skin and a little piece of lichen and a little piece of Port Orford cedar. You can also use aquatic samples of things like plankton, or you could look for water bears or something like that, little microscopic organisms. So the Brock kit comes in this. We pop it open, and inside you can see the microscope is placed here, the main body of it, and some items that we're going to use. So that's the way we want that to go back into the kit at the end of this. So take that out. And let's look at this for a second. So we've got the stand and the stage, the sighting tube, and down here is a little fiber optic light source. Okay, you always want to make sure that's aimed towards the daylight, in this case from my window, and that's going to bend the light up through whatever you put on the stage. And then this sighting tube actually pulls out. We want to be careful with that, and you can see it's got a little rivet on the back side. So when I slide the sighting tube back down into the stand, that rivet will ride up and down on this, which I call the race. And so that is how you change the length of, or the distance between the lens and the object that you're trying to view. And so by changing that distance, we can bring it into focus. There are a couple parts on the sighting tube that we want to note. One is the objective, and in this case it has a little 5x on it, and that means 5 power, and that slides in and out. It just slides in and out, but we'll leave that in there for now. And then here is the lens. In this case, on the side we can see it has a 4x, so that means it's 4 power. So 4 times 5 means this magnifies 20 times what we would see with the naked eye. The lenses screw in and out, so you want to make sure that you, if you're going to change lenses, that you do that over a surface so that you can place the lens into the container. Before we get much further, I'm going to place this back into the stand and show you some other parts. So we have a little bubble wrap sleeve here, and inside that bubble wrap sleeve you should find a glass dish slide. So the dish slide has a concave side to it. You want that concave side up, and of course you want the dish slide to be as clean as possible so that you're looking at what you put on the dish slide, not all the garbage and goo that you've left. And then a dropper. Alright, we also have a sighting tube. This is allows for this tube to be placed into it, and if we want to look at an object that is out in nature, say the bark of a tree, or in this case I'm going to look at this little piece of Port Orford cedar, we can set that down and look through the sighting tube, and then we just slide the lens tube up and down until we get a very nice view of that Port Orford cedar at 20 times what we would see with the naked eye. So that's how that sighting tube works, and this side lets the light in, so you want to keep that towards the light. Alright, so we'll pull that out, slide that back into its holder inside the case, and there are two other holders, one for an objective, an extra objective, a 10 power, and one for an extra lens, in this case a 10 power as well. So let me show you how to use this with the slide. So we take our sample and we pour it onto the slide with the dropper. We place the slide on the stage. Now this is very important. This rivet needs to stay on the race. If we move this rivet off the race and down through the slot, we will break the slide. Don't do that. Alright, so we'll now look through at our sample, and then we just twist the tube a little bit, and that rivet rides up the race, and we're able to see and bring the sample into focus. Now we may have a sample that needs higher magnification, so we can change the objective by simply sliding this out and replacing it, our 4 power objective or 5 power objective, with a 10 power objective. So now we have 10 times 4, or 40 power. So I have to readjust my focus, and now I can see quite a bit more. I can see some old, looks like salt crystals, or maybe even the tests or shells of diatoms. So we'll leave that in there. And if you're looking at very small microscopic organisms, you unscrew this lens from the cap, and then you want to swap that out with your 4-power lens by unscrewing. So go right to tighten, left to loosen. So we'll turn that clockwise or to the right to tighten. And we place that in. We have to be very careful now not to smash the slide. And now we have a 100 power system. And each time that you increase the magnification, if possible, increase the light. So you might want to place this closer to the window in order to be able to do that. Very important at the end of the day that the brockscope contents all go back together. So in this case, we take the 10 power objective and we put it back in its case, slide it into its holder on the side of the carrying case, put the 5 power objective back in, and I call this the standard setup. So the standard setup is the 4 power lens and the 5 power objective. We'll slide that in there like that. That sits like that. Take this lens, screw it back into the lens cap, put the top back on, make sure you don't strip the threads on these when you put them back together. That. Into the case it goes, set that in there just like that. We'll put this slide dropper in there, into the case. Done.